Good morning, everyone. I'm Aparajita. I lead the knowledge management track under NUDM. With me today, we have Mr. Pankaj Goyal, Mr. Amit, Sir, Director SUDA, and Mr. Manpreet Singh. We are talking about the reforms that Jharkhand has done in bringing about a surge in municipal revenue. This is the first session in this year. We have already done 6 best practice sessions last year. And from this year, we are changing the modality a little bit and promoting how the states have been working very aggressively towards enabling their own ULBs. Jharkhand is one of the only states that has gone ahead and done a PPP model of revenue collection, which is something that is quite appreciable. The state has agreed to join us today and share their experiences so that other people and other stakeholders from the remaining states can also exercise this option if needed to deliver the urban digital services at speed and scale. Our director, Madam Dr. Debolina Kundu, is unavailable today. So I would like to invite Mr. Manpreet Singh, who is the Chief Program Officer at NUDM, to welcome all the participants and the speakers and set the context for the meeting.
Good morning. Thanks, Aparajita, for setting up the context. Good morning, Amitji. Good morning, the whole Jharkhand team. And thank you to all the participants who have joined this webinar on the best practices in the revenue augmentation, especially the tax revenue part of it. National Urban Digital Mission is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs initiative, which aims to digitize all the urban services, including the property tax, including the miscellaneous collection, building plan approvals, and even the services like grievance redressal and all those services. Trade license from business perspective. Plus, from efficiency perspective, we have asset management, human resource management, and other internal services like municipal accounting. So aim is to digitize the urban services, work closely with states to make sure that even the smallest of the city starts digitizing its services. So under NUDM, we have developed a platform called Upyog platform, which has 10 services. And out of those 10, property tax is one of those services. And coming from the world perspective, the World Bank says we need $55 billion every year for our city infrastructure. And, you know, it's not possible that government funding, finance commission grants, state grants, or other aspects can complete it. So it has to be sometime self-reliance of the cities has to come in. If you look at another data, our property tax is only 0.25% of GDP. Even the developed or the developing countries are in the range of 1 to 2%. Developed countries are in the range of 3 to 4%. So that's the kind of benchmark we have set up. We have to set up in a country if we want our cities to build good infrastructure. Again, very innovative Jharkhand has done on the revenue augmentation part. Now, I would also request all the states to look at Upyog as a platform where we are doing a lot of value-add activities in terms of integrations of multiple modules. Our property tax module is integrated with municipal accounting. Our property ID is integrated with our fecal sludge management or for matter grievance redressal. Recently, we are talking about, I'm not sure if Jharkhand has done it, we're talking about how do we integrate a building plan approval with a property tax system. By any time a building gets approved, immediately the data should flow into a property tax system. That's what we are envisaging to build in Upyog. So I would request all the states and UTs to look at Upyog. We are available for a demonstration of Upyog. And we also request all the states and UTs to look at our property tax standards also. So we want to standardize the way the taxonomy or the process of property tax or the output of the property tax in the whole country so that we can compare one city with another city. So look at property tax standards, look at Upyog as a platform, and obviously look at a good practice which Jharkhand has followed so that we augment our property tax revenues. If we look at World Bank report, in Andhra, Telangana, it says they have doubled the property tax after they've introduced digital reforms. And I'm sure Jharkhand has done much better than doubling the revenue with their introduction. So over to Amitji, who heads SUDA, and for updating us on the initiative. Please.
Thank you, Manpreet Singh ji, and today I would like to thank Dr. Aparajita Madam Senior Program Associate, NUDM, and the MOA team and NUDM team to giving us opportunity to present this case, Municipal Reform for Revenue Augmentation in Jharkhand. It's basically PPP based. Am I audible?
So you're audible. We'll present.
Thank you. It's all about the PPP based revenue sharing model intervention in property tax. And today, me and my team will present brief insight into the municipal financial reforms taken by the government of Jharkhand in cities to march towards Atmanirbhar in his best practices. And I would also like to highlight some of the key challenges and initiatives taken by the government of Jharkhand from journey of our city from Nirbhar to Atmanirbhar. And initially, our cities in Jharkhand felt the heat of archaic governance, lack of skilled manpower, absence of digital record, as Manpreet Singh already told, low coverage and low collection of property tax, no facility of online payment, ineffective financial management system, single entry accounting system, so many problems. So the government of Jharkhand planned to initiate some of the municipal reforms. And first of all, government of Jharkhand did pilot testing of this PP-based revenue sharing model in 4 of our cities, including Ranchi, Chas, Dhanbad, Giridih, way back in 2013 and 14. And also, the cities have been armed with the power of governance by implementation of the property tax rules as per the Municipal Act of 2011. Initially, we started the ARV system, annual rental value system, which is the self-assessment based trust and verified model was initiated. And later on, the government of Jharkhand replicated this PPP-based revenue sharing model to all of the Jharkhand. And I'm proud to say that we are the only state in the country who is doing at this, who is collecting municipal taxes like trade license, water user charges, property tax through this model in throughout the state. So what we did, our key initiatives were that we have created a digital records and the property tax management system was introduced and developed. Army of the trained tax collector was deployed in the cities, and ease of collection. The thrust was on that how we can facilitate each and every owner to pay taxes in a better way, in an effective manner, with certain ease. And through this model, we have also increased our coverage, not only the household number, but also in the increase in the municipal taxes also. And I would like to feel proud to say that more than 20%, and now it's almost 25% of our property tax are being collected through online model, and a very sustainable system of assessment and collection is there. With AMRUT 2.0 guidelines and the urban reforms proposed under 15th Finance Commission or AMRUT 2.0, we have migrated from ARV system to capital value system. And now it provides some sort of equity among all sections of societies and certain reliefs to the poorer section of the society. I would like to say that if household nearing 350 square feet has been exempted from the property tax, and the weaker and marginalized section of society like women, senior citizens, armed forces, Divyang, and in fact, third gender are getting 5% additional rebate from in property tax. And if anyone who is among this society and among this section are paying first trimester of the financial year and online mode, then anyone can get 15% of the rebate. So this one is the model where there is a win-win situation. We are creating some sort of equity in the society and broadly more than 90% of the assessed household, and our collection is increasing more than the GDP rate. So with this initial remark, I would like to request Pankaj Goel to give a detailed presentation regarding our reform. And if any question will be raised, then we will definitely take it. Over to Pankaj, please.
Thank you, sir. Aprajita, anything, or we should continue?
Please start. We'll close it with the larger idea of NUDM ethos.
Right. Good morning, everyone. I'm CA Pankaj Goel. I'm team leader for the project management unit for the state of Jharkhand since 17-18. And it gives me immense pleasure and privilege to be a part of the municipal reforms which has taken part in our state of Jharkhand. Initially, if we see, we will be taking you from the right journey which we have taken right from 13-14, then in 16-17, and then 22-23. These were the landmark years in the state of Jharkhand. 13-14, 16-17, and the 22-23. So we will be taking how we have moved from 13-14 to the 22-23, and almost our ULBs are now running on a self-sustainable mode. Operator, can you give me the, I can just run the slides myself, please, if you can give me the option, please. Yeah. First of all, in terms of the demographics of the Jharkhand, we have at present total 49 urban local bodies, out of which 9 are municipal corporations. We have 20 Nagar Panchayat, 19 municipal council, and 1 Jamshedpur is a notified area committee which has not been upgraded to the municipality level at present. If we go by the 2011 census, we all agree that as per the national level, the decade growth rate is almost more than 22%, annual raise to 2.2% rate. The population and the number of households has increased. But if we go by 2011, Jharkhand has an urban population of almost 57 lakh. And out of 57 lakh, more than 40% is being only covered by 3 urban local bodies, 3 cities. One is our Ranchi, which is the capital city, which is also the Amrit city. Then we have our Dhanbad, and then Jamshedpur. So almost you can say 40% of our self-sustainable revenue comes from these 3 main cities. But Jamshedpur being a notified area committee, so the property tax is not being collected there. Aprajita, this presentation, shall I do it?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So, taking it further, we have at present 1 smart city, that is the Ranchi, our capital city, and we have 7 Amrit cities. So this is basically the total urban demographic profile of our state of Jharkhand. Now, what are the challenges? And frankly speaking, these challenges which our state has it is generally all the state either are facing at present or they must have faced earlier, somewhere in the past. So what are the challenges? We all know it. Primarily, all the records were manual. And that is the reason the government of India, NIUA, has brought up the concept of NUDM when we talk about the digitization and the digital records. And whenever the things are manual, logically, the lot of transparency issue comes up. Then comes up the manpower. Every urban local body has a limited manpower, and limited in not in terms of number, but also in terms of capacity. Because you need to upgrade your knowledge. We are at present in the area and arena of the AI and the chat GPT, so you need to upgrade your skills. Earlier, there was no facility of the online payments. The person has to go to the urban local body, take the appointment, stand in the queue. And generally, these are the issues which generally stops the citizen to make the right assessment and make the payment. If a person is traveling and they doesn't have the option to and the freedom to make the payment anytime, anywhere, so logically, it will be very tough for them to make the payment and get the right assessment done. Another challenge is the timely resolution of the grievance, and the grievance can be of any sort in terms of the understanding about the rules, how to fill up the forms. After filling up the forms, if any query is there, the follow-up of that. So earlier, there was no system and a mechanism to resolve the grievance at the right time. And of course, there was no intimation about the awareness as we nowadays get the reminders. Okay, pay your property tax, pay your electricity bill, pay your water charges. Earlier, there was no concept of intimation SMS. And the major part, the records. Every revenue has to be accounted for. And where you're accounting on the basis of the cash basis, and that too on the single entry basis, not as per the National Municipal Accounting Manual, then logically, the financial discipline lacks. These were the major challenges which our state of Jharkhand was facing. And as I told you, not our state, other states must be facing or must have faced in the past. Now, how we have tried to cope up all those challenges and reach at the stage at which we are at present. You know, any type of research, any type of reforms always start with the pilot testing. So that we always test whatever reforms we are implementing at the larger level. Will it be successful or not? And that was the reason our state, you all know Jharkhand has been carved out of the Bihar. So logically, the rules earlier were of the Bihar. So initially in 13-14, the pilot testing was done by our state in 4 urban local bodies, 4 cities, all the 4 corporations. Out of 9, Girdi, Dhanbad, Ranchi, the Chas, in the different zones, so that we understand whether people are willing to accept these reforms, what are the gaps in terms of the revenue, what are the gaps in terms of assessment. And that was the reason the pilot testing of the revenue sharing model in terms of the tax collector outsourcing base was done in these 4 cities. And the result was amazing. We realize there's a lot of potential in terms of the assessment and the revenue collection, and citizens who are willing to make the payment provided they get a proper services and the freedom to make the payment and the assessment anytime, anywhere. They were looking for the ease of living in terms of the assessment and the payment of property tax. So that was the thing which our state has nailed it. And nothing can be achieved unless until we have the army of the governance and the weapons. Only then you can enforce the things. And that was the reason, seeing the success of the pilot testing, our state did the necessary amendments in the Jharkhand Municipal Act in 2015-16. We all know why 15-16 was the only year. Because 14-15 was a major year which happened at the national level when the Amrit project was launched initial, and it has a guidelines which talks about the 90% billing, collection, and the efficiency. So logically, all the states to comply with the Amrit reforms and the Amrit incentives need to go for it. And you know, we all know at that time there was a 14th Finance Commission was there, which has the 20% performance grant. So these were also some of the reasons which pushed up our state to take up these municipal reforms. So we started, first of all, with making the necessary amendment in the Jharkhand Municipal Act, whereby earlier in Jharkhand, the composite tax was charged. The composite tax, which covers property tax, water tax, your education, your latrine tax, health tax were there. But from composite tax, we have migrated to the annual rental value, which only covers property tax. It means now in Jharkhand, there is no concept of composite tax like other states in India have it. So that necessary amendments were done. Post the amendment, because Act only gives you the broad guidelines. But to enforce, you need the rules, the minute details. And that was the reason post amendment in the Municipal Act, Jharkhand property tax rules were framed, which mentions about the details about rebates, incentive, interest, what are the actions if citizen doesn't pay, what design. Along with that, even the recovery rules were framed, because if we all know in all entire class, there can be some good students, there can be some bad students. Same happens with the cities and the citizens. Some might be the very good citizens and some may not be the good citizens. They may not be able to make the payment at the right time. What are the actions that cities or the state can take it? And that is the reason the recovery rules were framed. And 2023 was the year in which we migrated from ARV to capital value in line with 15th Finance Commission and Amrit, as our Amit sir has just mentioned to you. Now, as we were discussing what citizen expects at the time of making, and just let's try to place ourselves in terms of citizen, because we also are the part of citizen of any of the city. What we look, if you want to make any payment, there should be a transparent detail, how much we have to pay. There should be a right calculation. We should be having a freedom to make the payment by any mode. Any mode means online. And online means like credit card, debit card, UPI, whatever it is. Or it will be very good if a person can come to us, explain to us how this demand has been calculated, and then they collect the cash and deposit, or they collect the check. Or there should be a mechanism whereby we can go to the urban local body. There should be some designated collection centers and we can make the payment. And who doesn't like the freebies, the rebates? So if a citizen gets the rebate out of 100, some rebate is there, then why not? And there should be some differentiation. If my house is small and I'm living in an area which has a smaller road, narrower road, and the person who is living at the wider road and the bigger house, there should be a difference in the tax structure. So basically, citizens are looking for the better transparency, ease of making the payment at any point, anywhere, principle of equity, grievance resolution on time. So these were the major challenges which our state decided to nailed it, resolved it, so that we can move from our Nirbhar to Atmanirbhar stage. And those were the all reforms. So initially, as I mentioned, statutory reforms were initiated, amendment in the Municipal Act, property tax rules, recovery rules were formed, and then later in the year 22-23, we did the necessary amendments to move from ARV to capital value. Now the major part. PPP-based revenue sharing model. And logically, why we basically call it as a PPP-based? Because the public basically means the government we talk about. Private, our PMU, our tax collection agencies. And there is a partnership, because in a way, what partner gets it? Partner gets a share of profit. Exactly here, our tax collection agency gets a share of commission. You get the higher revenue, you get the higher commission. So in that way, it was basically the PPP-based outsourced revenue-based sharing model. It's not that we are the first state to do it. Before us, also one of the states did revenue sharing model, but they did it only for 2 or 3 cities. And only in the entire India to implement successfully at the national, at the entire state level, at all the urban local bodies. Pilot city, right? The initial tender was floated for all state, and our state was divided into some clusters. Based on those clusters, 3 tax collection agencies were appointed. But we all know the tax collection agency goes to the field, get the assessment done, get the collection done. But what about the surveillance, the mechanism? What about if some guide comes up? Some changes come, like Fifth Commission, right? What happens if you resolve the citizen? And that was the reason our state came up with the innovative concept of project management, which before Jharkhand, none of the state has even done it at the city level also. And it is reaping the best fruits to our state, because PMU Act has acted as a connect between the national level, urban local body level, and the citizen level. So in that way, the statutory reforms were initiated. Now, what was our state strategy? It was a basic one-window solution. We all know, the major challenge which comes up in the revenue sharing is three U's. And it's not only in the property tax. Any tax, but they don't pay it. You get the bill, you don't pay it. Underassessment. I show my house as residential, even though I'm working as a commercial organization. I'm showing a lesser area. Underassessment of my tax. And unassessed. Unassessed basically means I'm not even getting myself assessed. My record is not appearing in the municipality records. So we all know to how these were the 3 major areas. If we can resolve these 3 areas, we can easily increase our assessment and our collection will automatically increase. So that was a major strategy which PMU with tax collection agency, with the help of our state government nailed it. So what was the implementing strategy? First of all, tax collection agency was appointed for assessment and collection of taxes against a commission-based. Project management unit named as a Revenue Augmentation was appointed at the state level. Now, what our agency did, first of all, they collected all the municipal records which were existing at the time of appointment, but they were manual records. So our tax collection agency agreement has a clause of development of software also. So they developed a software at the state level known as a Property Tax Management System, PTMS. So all the existing records were digitized, but those were based on composite tax. So as we moved to annual rental value initially, so demand needs to be updated. And that was the reason a self-assessment form based on the trust and verify. Trust and verify means we were not asking the citizens, why this, why this, why this. Our army of tax collector went to the citizen based on the addresses which were given in the legacy records, get the form filled, right, and updated the demand based on the ARV. So logically, there were many people who were not there, unassessed household. So even those households were knocked, the legacy records were updated, and those new were known as a new assessment. So the legacy was converted as a reassessment or the mutation part, and the new as a new assessment. So our entire assessment which increased covers 3 parts: reassessment, mutation, and the new assessment part. Of course, it cannot be just done based on the knocking the door. There have to be a lot of IC initiatives, which I'll be discussing in the coming slides. So we took a lot of IC initiatives. And in that way, it was a win-win situation for agency also, state also, in our cities. So we were discussing about the online software. We all know recently Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has launched even the special assistance scheme for the capital investment, which had the milestone 1, which even talks about 7 indicators like integration with the other state utilities, state departments, and the online records, online payment. Exactly similar, our state also developed the online software And at present, our state is in a process to integrate, which Mr. Manpreet has mentioned, with the Upyog platform also. So entire register were digitized, demand was updated. The concept of calculation of demand was there. There was a tab was introduced, know your tax collector. So if I am living in Ward 1 in Ranchi, I can click which tax collector will be coming to me. The proper transparency is there. I can search by my mobile number. I can see how my demand has been calculated. So the entire transparent document, how the calculation was there. Even the property tax rules, the frequently asked questions, training material was uploaded on the portal so that any citizen wants to check it, they can do that. Entire cash, check, demand draft was collected by our people through the POS machines. So it was basically the entire integrated system on the real time. The moment they collect the cash, it was updated in the system and a citizen can check it. The entire cash collected has to be deposited within 24 hours. Now the query can come up. Who checks up whether the cash has been collected, has been deposited 24 hours or not? The PMO is there. On monthly basis, we check the reconciliation. So whether it has not been deposited 24 hours or not. Agreed. Sometime what happens, the collection is done on Saturday and the bank is closed. So those were the exceptional cases where the check or the cash was deposited on Monday. That possibility can be there. Then there was a system of sending the reminders to the citizens so that citizen is aware. This is my demand, when I have to pay. If I pay in the first quarter, I can claim the rebate, etc. So now citizens were alarmed at a right point of time because the entire city was divided into wards and the wards were designated to a tax collector. So the designated tax collector knocks the citizen again and again. So there was, in a way, affinity and the awareness among the citizens that how much is the demand and how much we have to pay. Of course, we all know if any citizen doesn't pay, then we also take an action. We have to twist the arms in a way. Because in our Jharkhand Municipal Act, there is a section 184, whereby if any citizen doesn't pay, then there's a provision to attach the municipal property, freeze the bank accounts, or stop the municipal services temporarily. Yes, in exceptional cases, we have taken some instances whereby people were not paying it. And there is a grievance cell and the help desk has been created by our agency. There's a toll-free number a citizen can call and resolve the grievances. And the grievance register is maintained. And that grievance register is being checked by PMU on the sample basis to check whether the grievances are being resolved or not. The property tax management system basically covers following things. It was initiated in 1670. Every citizen now gets a unique identity holding number like Aadhaar or the PAN number. So this property tax number becomes a unique number now, which helps them, and it is the only way they can get their property registered in Jharkhand. It means if I'm selling my property, I'm buying a land from someone, I cannot do it unless until the seller has the holding ID, the property tax ID. So in a way, it is linked to the Land Revenue Department. Plus, if you have to apply for the trade license, in case of renewal, property tax ID is mandatory. If you apply for the water connection, because water connection has to be installed in a household, so logically you must be having the property tax ID. It will be there. And now, in our coming years, some more integration, as Mr. Manpreet has mentioned, we are in a process to integrate with other departments also. The best part is our online system has a provision, our PTMS has a provision to make the online payment. In line with the Government of India digital payment. So if you make the online payment, citizen get the 5% rebate. So out of 100 rupees, if I pay online, I get 5%. So I'll be paying only 95 rupees. This is the best part of PTMS. And there is a property tax calculator, like in income tax. If we put our estimated income, we get the how much income tax we have to pay. Similarly, if we put the basic information in our property tax calculator, any citizen can check the amount of property tax demand. So in a way, the transparent process is there. This is basically our screenshot how the self-assessment form online is submitted. Citizen logs in, apply on the assessment link, fills the required information, submit it, upload the necessary documents, and then in that way, the form can be uploaded. You guys must be interested, what about PMU? And how large is a PMU team for 49 cities? Basically, we have a 21 people team headed by the team leader. The entire state is divided into 5 clusters, and each cluster has monitoring officer, supported by 2 assistant monitoring officers. Plus, there always are some office and the logistic work has to be done. So 2 or 3 admin staffs are there. Way, we have a 21 people team. Now, what is a major part of PMU? Let's take a very easy example. In the 2021 15th Finance Commission guidelines came up, migration value. Now, who does it? Who the best practices? Who prepares the rules? Last year, the city financial ranking lines came up. So, who have guide and the train our ULBs? This is the way the form has to be filled up. As per the annual financial statement now has submitted online within a timeline. Last year, the timeline was August, this is 15th May. Now, who checks whether the records are right, account correct? Whatever grievances, if grievances are not on timely basis. What happens if there is a cartel collusion between the tax agency and the citizens? And that's the reason PMU keeps on checking the sample survey of the properties, keeps on meeting with the citizens, and always there is a concept of Sarkar Aapke Dwar, whereby we meet the citizen, interact with the citizens, understand their grievances, check the grievance. In a way, PMU acts as a surveillance agency and a connect between the national level, city level, citizen level, and helps to ensure the process is smoothened and any types of cartel and the collisions are minimized. Another, generally the interesting part comes up is what is the concept of the revenue sharing model. In case of online payment, because the citizen is making payment directly, so the effort of tax collection agency is almost minimal, or we'll say nil. And that is the reason in case of online payment, there is no commission. Our Amit sir has just mentioned to you more than 25% payment is online, which we slowly and gradually, we all know will increase. So in a way, out of 100 rupees collected, 25 rupees collection, we are not paying even a single amount to the tax collection agency. So in terms of cost benefit analysis, this works out. Then some of the citizen goes to the Jan Suvidha Kendra, GSK, the collection center in the urban local body. In the collection center, the infrastructure is of the ULB, not of the agency. And that is the reason their cost effort is less. They should get a lesser commission, logically. And that is the reason if any amount is collected at the collection center, they only get 25% of the bid rate. So if the bid rate is 10%, they only get 2.5%. So if out of 100, 25 is online, 75 is left. Let's say in 75, 5 rupees is collected. 5 rupees is collected through GSK. The agency will be only getting 2.5% if the bid rate was 10. And then the remaining was door to door, where tax collector goes to citizen once, twice, thrice, because we all know generally when anyone knocks, there can be a possibility the citizen will not make the payment at the first instance. The reminder has to be given. The effort of agency is there. In that case, agency gets the full commission. There are 3 types of door-to-door, full commission. Okay, only 25% of the bid rate, and the online, nothing. So initially from 1670 to 2021, the approximate rate was 15% in some ULBs. Why I'm saying some ULBs? Because it was a pilot tested, so the tender duration for some cities was different. Post 21, because our system has been stabilized, maximum assessment has been done, so logically the bid rate has come down. So you can say that once the system gets stabilized, in terms of cost benefit, now the cost outflow is very, very. So now the bid rate is in the range of 5 to 10% in the ULBs. There can be a query. Because generally what happens, let's suppose there is a Jan Suvidha Kendra. You might be thinking the tax collector outside the Jan Suvidha Kendra may knock the citizen and may ask him to make the payment outside the Jan Suvidha. If he's making the payment outside, it will be counted as door-to-door collection. And the agency can do it because in door-to-door, they get a full commission. To this, our state and the PMU, what they have done it, they've created a concept of geofencing. Within 100-meter radius of the collection center, there's a geofencing has been established in the property tax management system. So it means if a citizen is making any payment within 100 meters, it will be counted Jan Suvidha Kendra and the agency will be getting 25% of the bid rate. So even that types of collusion or the cartels or the bad practices or the malpractices has been stopped, has been minimized, I should say. So tax collection process earlier, because of the lesser tax collector of the ULBs, less skills, so they were not visiting. On a regular basis. I think some hand has been raised. So shall I take it right now or later?
We can take it right now if it doesn't break your flow.
I have no issue. Please.
Let me promote that person to a panelist very quickly. Pankaj, I think you can continue. That person has put their hand now.
No worries.
Yeah.
So we were this out. This slide basically gives a comparison between how the tax collection was done before the reform was introduced, how the collection is later. Earlier was there manual, no POS machine, no SMS reminders, manual entry has to be done, right? And that was the reason. Earlier, the tax collector, limited tax collector ULBs had to cover the entire Ranchi. Just imagine, Ranchi urban household is 2.07 lakh as per 2011 census. The urban population is more than 10 lakh. With a limited tax collector, they cannot knock all the households. And that was the reason number of assessment was very limited. And that was the reason for not making the payment. And there was also a possibility of the fusion the cartels can be avoided. There was no surveillance system at there. even the cash has been collected, whether it has been deposited at right time and the cash book at right time, there was no mechanism. I can collect the cash, keep it in my pocket. After 10 days, I can and deposit it. We all know the concept teaming and leading is there in the audit. So all things were minimized in the current process because here there is a self-assessment forms which is given to citizen to door, or they come to collection center, the form is given to them, or it is available in the online system. They fill all the information. No question asked because it is basically trust and verify. Been asked. Then that form, tax collector digitize it, type, goes to PTS. The moment it is entered there, a temporary 15-digit holding ID known as a assessment form number is issued. Now you see till the point ULB is picture. But there should be some verification mode. And that is the reason after this form, our urban local body dealing assistant through the panel, QTMS, verifies the document. Checks the document, whether document are as per the rules or not. Okay, he applied. And immediately the final memo is being done. So in that way, the final memo is done. So this is basically the grievance part which we were discussing. This is basically the online mode, how the online payment is being done. In online, we get a rebate of 5%. If any payment is done at the Jan Suvidha Kendra, our citizen get 2.5% rebate. And in door-to-door, no rebate is being given. So in that way, citizens are motivated to make online payments. We started the process with a state-level workshop. These were the innovative model which we took it. Aparajita, there is a query. Shall I answer right now or later in the SMS, the question answer?
We can take the question right now, Pankaj.
Okay. There's a query by how much the percentage has the tax coverage increased under this method. See, initially our property tax collection in 13-14 was only 23 crores. I'll be taking the financial figures later also in the slide. 23 crores. And our last year collection was 182 crores.
Yeah.
And this year, we hope to increase to more than 200 crores. We have already crossed 160 crores by 31st of December, January, sorry. So in terms of percentage, it is manifold. So I'll be sharing the financial figures in the coming slides also. So these were the lot of IC activity like Nukkad Natak, innovative advertisement like a Bollywood captions were used. Then camps were organized, state level workshops was done, miking was done. Whenever the garbage collection is done, even at that time, miking is done. So in that way, a lot of awareness initiatives were introduced. So the benefits we have already discussed in the revenue sharing model. That yes, records were available, transparent system is there, grievance resolution is there, collection has increased, citizen get a freedom to make the payment anytime, anywhere, by any mode. In case any payment is not done, the notice is being served. So in terms of the financial, as there was a query, in 13-14, the collection was 23 crore for the state. In the last year, 182 crores. In terms of the quarter one, because in quarter one, if anyone makes the payment, there's an early bird rebate of 5%. And they make the online payment, another 5%. And there's a special rebate of 5%, which I'll be discussing in the coming slide, 15%. So now we are trying to motivate our citizen to make the maximum payment in the quarter 1, because in that way we get the 100% amount. There is no need to follow up in the remaining quarters. Plus, our ULB gets the major chunk of amount in their bank, which gives them an interest also and enables them to maintain their expenses in the coming months. So you can see in 16-17, the first quarter collection was hardly 2.6 crores, which has increased to 34 crores in 2024. In terms of the percentage collection, demand, we take the total demand. In some of the states, I know, they bifurcate the demand in terms of the collectible demand, litigation demand, and the government demand. We take total demand. In terms of the total demand, our collection efficiency was 52%. Last year, it was 90%. Number of assessment has increased from 3 crore to 9.5 crore. Just to add it here, one point, very important one point. Our total urban household were around 10 lakh. But in that 10 lakh, our Jamshedpur is not to be counted because the property tax is not being collected there. So if we exclude Jamshedpur, our census urban household comes only around 9 lakh. So already, if in terms of census we talk about, we have increased, but yes, we agree there's a lot of more potential is there. And through the integration with the other services, other utilities, other state departments in the coming years, this amount, this percentage will certainly increase. Now the major part, because most of the states have done it or have been doing it. Last year, because of the 15th FC Amrit guideline, it was mandated to move to the capital value system. So from the annual rental value, our state has migrated to circle rates, the circle rate given by the Land and Revenue Department. Those circle rates are updated every 2 years. So last year, circle rate were done it in the year 21-22. And 2 years, current year, they have again increased. So our now formula has also been simplified. We only need 3 factors. Area given by citizen, circle rate given by Land and Revenue Department, and the tax rate for residential is 0.075%, and for commercial, it is 0.15%. Very easy for anyone to calculate the tax, because everyone knows the circle rate when they sell the property. So in that way, we have complied with the 15th FC guidelines also. Already last year, we have complied the GSDP part, because our average GSDP, GSDP was 8.01%. There's a query here. How do you ensure citizen privacy protection while implementing geofencing? And don't you think it's too harsh to track and monitor to so much extent? I'll answer the first query. See, in terms of geofencing, we are not putting any burden on the citizen. We are just checking. Even citizen doesn't know that their geofencing is there. If any citizen is making the payment, standing in the queue out of the collection center at 150 meters, then logically it's a door-to-door collection. This geofencing has been introduced to give the benefit to citizen. Why? Because if a citizen makes the payment in Jan Suvidha Kendra, they get a rebate of 2.5%. It's not a harsh to citizens. Basically, it's to create a transparent process. And just to save the cost of the state also. Because if the payment has been done as a JSK, then why the agency shall get a commission of 10%? That is the reason. So this we have already discussed, the formula part. The benefit in the capital value is, the major benefit is, Aparajita, there is one hand is there, so I can take the query if you say.
Yeah, I'm just promoting him to a panelist.
No worries.
Jyotish, we have given you permission to ask your question. If there is a question. Pankaj, we can continue while.
Yeah, no worries. So regarding the capital value, the best advantage our state has got it that we have at least complied with the 15th FC and the AMRI 2.0 guideline. Second, now there is no need to increase the valuation rate or the municipal valuation rate because the circle rate automatically get increased. Third, different circle rate for different wards. So in a way, there's a balance of equity. The demand is different. Plus, we have given the additional rebate to the special section society like women, armed forces, Divyang, transgender, and a senior citizen. But let me tell you, if let's suppose I am senior citizen, I am the member of armed forces, I am Divyang, I will be getting 5% only. So we have tried to cover the best practices of the rebate which are offered by different states and clubbed it here. And that is the reason if any citizen, if I make the payment, I'm Divyang, armed forces member, senior citizen, and I make the payment in the first quarter online, I get 15% rebate. So out of 100 rupees demand, I only pay 85 rupees. Aparajita, is a query.
Yes, sir. Now.
With the already exist.
Can I request the person ask questions to introduce themselves? It will also be easy for us to understand the background of these questions. If you are especially from a state, please let us know. Pankaj, do you want to finish the presentation and then questions?
Just
We're almost there. Yeah.
Thank you. So regarding reform contribution to ease of living, which I have been mentioning in the entire presentation, even our sir has also mentioned, the best part from the citizen perspective, they have got a freedom to make the payment anytime. So their time is saved. They get a normal reminders, which was not there. So transparency is there. They get a rebate, 15%, their cost is saved. Their grievance is resolved. So they know the mechanism is there. For smaller section, we are not taking any property tax up to 350 square feet exempt. There's a balance because different tax rate based on different circle rate. And due to the concept like PMU, geofencing, the manipulation minimized. And it's not that we are not taking action against the defaulters. So we are keeping it a balance. And in terms of state, the benefit is our state has got the increase in the assessment, revenue, a lot of employment has been given to a lot of people through this mode, employed in the tax collection agency. Plus our cities are almost in this self-sustainable mode because the own revenue, property tax almost counts 60% of the own revenue, which helps them to meet their revenue expenditure. So in the financial data, which already have discussed it, and the one more thing, if you see the additional part is regarding the professional work culture, even for our urban local bodies, like a KPIs, key performance indicator, we have created a balanced scorecard for our urban local bodies. And now they will also be assessed on the monthly basis from the coming years against the technical and the non-technical parameter. Our double entry accounting has already been introduced. Our Jharkhand Municipal Accounting Manual is in place. We have already complied with the 15th FC guidelines last year. All the accounts were uploaded on time. In city financial ranking, we are one of the few states who have complied with all the guidelines and submitted all the information on time. Thank you, everyone. And thank you especially NIUA and the MUA for giving us the opportunity. Any questions, most welcome.
take the questions shortly, Pankajji. What I would like to bring in this presentation is that the way the state of Jharkhand has operationalized this effort is quite in line with the ethos of NUDM. There is a very strong governance and management structure that the state has instituted, which is what we also recommend to other states. And a lot of our states are now getting on board. So that is something that we commend and appreciate what Jharkhand has done. The continuity that comes in being a stable PMU and stable people is what usually drives a mission or a project to success. So like Amit sir has been with this effort since 2020. It's already been 4 years now. Pankajji has been with the mission as the head of PMU since 2017, which is more than 6 years. And this is one of the key factors which drives the continuity of any effort, which is something that NUDM has been constantly promoting and working with the states and UTs to do their efforts. The other thing that we really appreciated while we were going through the presentation was that a lot of work that is being done is inclined with the efforts of Digital India. There are a lot of compliances, integrations, and deduplicity, which is another mandate NUDM has been pitching since its own conception. So utilizing the funds, creating common KPIs that address the needs or the requirements of various missions, such as 15th Finance Commission, Amrit, NUDM, Smart Cities. That's really commendable. And it's usually not achieved in a lot of states due to lack of interdepartmental integration. So that's also a very good takeaway that other state and UTs and their officials can take from what Jharkhand is doing. There is also the streamlining of services and the delivery of services, where a lot of effort has been done for ease of living and ease of doing business. While we see on the chat as well, and the questions that there are a lot of concerns about privacy and security, the way the system has been set is already addressing those concerns just by design, which is maybe something we can deep dive into. And these are very great questions that normally is a citizen's concern. The IEC activities is also commendable. And the reason for having these knowledge exchange sessions, while NIUA anchors it's the states who do the work. So we have seen tremendous work in the state of Kerala also in the past 6 months. And now we have Jharkhand as another example, which we have been looking forward to with the way that the IEC campaigns were done, which was connected to the local people and something that was a top-down approach. So having one-on-one interactions, the Nukkad Nataks, things like this, that's really commendable because it interacts with the audience and echoes with them. So especially if there are people in the audience who belong to the state of Jharkhand, this is also a great opportunity for you to interact with the people spearheading this initiative. And if you have any inputs for us or for them, they are very welcome. I would also like to take this opportunity to recommend any other state officials or people who are willing to learn about this to either get in touch with us or directly with the state of Jharkhand and plan your visits. The best learning happens when you see it in person. You interact with the people who have done on-ground work and know the realities of the challenges that they have faced and addressed. That would be the key takeaway. So please reach out to us and to the state of Jharkhand. With that, I'll give the floor back to Pankaj, and we can start addressing the questions. We've also promoted the 3 people who had raised their hands, and they can ask their questions directly. So the first question is from an anonymous person. With the already existing tax collections team in ULB, how do we assimilate TC and define scope of work? Pankaj?
I'm taking it. See, the current tax collection team in the urban local bodies was, as I mentioned, was very limited. And the age profile was almost at the verge of retirement. And that was the reason, right? None of the urban local bodies known as the revenue officer or the tax collector were removed. They had their, in my discussion, I mentioned those tax collector had a row of verification of documents. Plus, once a geotagging has been done by our agency, our tax collector goes on the field and re-verifies the information which has been given by the tax collection agency, and then they generate the final memo. So our existing tax collection team in the UAE is working in tandem, and no one has been removed, right? And so their major scope is to verify the documents and re-verify the information which has been submitted by the tax collection agency through geotagging. That's the first one. Second is, Aprita, shall I take in continuation? Aprajita, shall I take in
Yeah.
continuation?
Yes, please continue. You can also
Next.
stop presenting, and then we'll
Yeah.
be able to see the speakers better.
Yeah. Next is, can the data collected for geotagging be integrated to deliver other services? See, in geotagging, basically the longitude, latitude, everything has been covered. Of course, it is not a substitute for GIS mapping, which our state is in a process in the coming years, right? So yes, those data for geotagging, we are integrating with the other services. For example, I'll take an example. Let's suppose in geotagging, the area was mentioned lesser by the citizen. Once the data has been updated in terms of correct built up area, so when they apply for municipal trade license, it is based on area based. When they apply for water connection, the ferrule size is based on the area. So in that way, the data which has been collected for geotagging is being used and ensured that if any types of under assessment is there, the proper is taken. Yes, our property tax already linked, as I mentioned, with our land and revenue department, because mandatory for even a building approval, our holding ID is mandatory. For water connection, it's mandatory. For trade license, it is mandatory. For other municipal services, which is possible, it is mandatory. Without quoting the property tax ID, no municipal services can be. Plus, we are in a process to integrate with the other utilities. This is. Yes, Mr. Tariq, it is primarily with regard to property tax, but of course, our agency also does the collection of water charges and the trade license. At present, our property tax collection is almost 60% revenue. Alok sir is there. So good afternoon, first of all. You will be get any share of stamp duty from the sir in our state of Jharkhand. There is no concept of assigned revenue. So entire stamp duty which is being collected, right? It directly goes to the land and revenue department. So nothing is being shared by our urban local body. So no concept of assigned revenue, but our municipal act does provide this power to us.
Okay.
It's not there. It is not there, sir.
Okay. So because we are facing a problem like that in one of the cities we are working with, wherein the city is not able to recognize the revenue that is receivable from the government. So I thought maybe if
Sir, I'll just add it here with your permission because
Yeah,
you're my senior. So
I
I'll
don't
just,
know.
I'll just add it with your permission. Sir, because in Patna, when I worked, the Patna also worked the similar concept. Patna received the share of assigned revenue. And there was not known to the Patna Municipal Corporation. So as a PMU, when we worked there, we followed with them and ensured the entire filing process was done. And then the amount was transferred to the Patna Municipal Corporation, sir. So I agree that you have to follow up with the department because you know how it moves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was very well, presentation was very useful. Thank you so much.
Mr. Shubhamkumar, what are the other own source revenue? Mr. Shubhamkumar, as per the National Municipal Accounting Manual, you know it, we have tax revenue where we have property tax revenue, right? Advertisement, we all know after the GST being subsumed, now no state can charge advertisement tax. And this our state of Jharkhand has already done the amendment in the. So now instead of tax, we talks about fees. In terms of the other own revenue, water charges, we have a trade license fees, we have a sale of forms, right? On the FDs and we have an interest there, right? Then parking, parks are being given on the Sirat, like a tender based. So there we get a revenue. Of course, rent for municipal property. My colleague is mentioning rent for municipal property. I missed it. Mr. Neeraj is saying, what's the mechanism if a land would not open actual area himself? Mr. Neeraj, I've already mentioned. If any landowner does not give the actual area, they will not give it in the self-assessment form agreed. Their document will be verified agreed. But then our tax collection agency will go on the field, does the geotagging, there the area will be updated. It will be re-verified by the ULB tax collector. And then the area, then the under assessment will be identified and the demand will be updated. And there is a penalty provision in that. Excuse me. There is a penalty provision of almost up to 100% in case of underassessment. Then comes who all are part of PMU team is all the state government members. No, the PMU is the tender-based document, so all teams are the external consultants. Mr. Vardhan, you can answer, please. What is this query? Is this an Vardhan? I don't know. This query is an open source system and does it use the microservices? What is this query?
The system that Jharkhand is using, they are asking if it is open source and on microservices based architecture.
But it is a proprietary based software.
No, basically we have already transferred all our codes to our state data centers.
No, the software that you have implemented, it is an open source or it is developed by any company and
developed by
So it's proprietary basically, Pankaj, right?
Yes.
Yes,
But-
it's a proprietary software.
But the codes, etc., are already being preserved. We have transferred to state data center. So now nothing is with the agency,
So the ownership of the data and the system is with the state.
with the state. Yeah.
Yeah. And the state also has the technical capability and know how to work on the system. It's not like
Yes.
it's dependent on a third party.
No.
It might have been developed by somebody, but now the state is in charge, which is how it should actually be. Thank you for that question.
and this is free of cost.
And yeah, the system is free of cost. The next
Hi,
question.
Pankaj.
Sir,
This is Tariq from
sir.
UI. So, it was a very good presentation, and I have gone through it. The only thing is that, like I am saying, the property tax reform in Jharkhand. Other than that, like I just wanted to understand how you are managing your assets. If you are able to achieve 100% of your property tax as 200 crore or maybe 300 crore up to some point of time, and you achieve 100% of compliance, how do you manage other source of revenue, like fees, user charges, or any development fees kind of thing? So, and then asset management. So, could you please
Sir.
elaborate on that?
Yeah, certainly. Sir, regarding the user charges, because water user charges we already are being charging, and it's a volumetric based, and it will be basically linked to the consumption based and linked to the power tariff also. So whenever the power tariff gets changed, so automatically as per the MUA guidelines, our rates gets updated. And we have a water user charge rules placed in 2020. But I agree, at present, our state is in a process of providing the meter water connections to the states, to the cities. So in the coming 3-4 years, most of the cities will be having the water connections, meter water connections. And once those meter water connections will be there, right, in the coming 4 or 5 years, we will be having a sufficient amount of revenue, which I agree at present is not up to that level, but it will take some time because at present some connections are non-meter also. So from non-meter to once they convert it to meter, right? So the issue of quality of water, sufficient amount of water is not generated, etc., will be resolved. So in terms of user charges. Second, in terms of the fees, municipal shop rent for municipal property is there. We as a PMU are working with the cities and identifying, because most of the municipal shops revenue were very, very old. The rent was very, very old. So we are trying to bring it at par, at least at the annual rental value or at the par with the market rate. So that process is there, and all our municipal shops, all our parks, at present, fixed asset register is already in place, but it is not digitized. But we already have a system integrator in place and under the World Bank project, and they have a provision to create the asset management module also. So in that asset management module, the next 2 years, all those fixed ULB asset will be integrated, and there will be a location code, there will be a valuation as per the NAM, and even the market valuation, we are in a process to get it done.
Yeah, like you have mentioned, this is good information. Using DLC rate, you apply your collect the taxes, and then you apply your taxes as well. We had conducted a DLC rate revenue analysis in one of the state, and then we found that there's a 5 times higher market rate than current DLC rate. So this gap between DLC rate and then market rate, this is like a huge gap in revenue collection. So like there would be a different mechanism, like power consumption, water consumption, and all other utility consumption for one property, so that we will be able to identify what is the potential of the revenue from this particular property. Let's say you are sitting in a big office, and they are consuming or a big house, they're consuming higher energy in terms of electricity or water. So there should be some different mechanism, not this only the DLC rate for everyone. But like it's my own assumption.
So your point is valid. Basically, you are linking that to the usage part, but you know the reform process takes time. From the annual rental value, we have moved to circle rate, right? So logically, it took some time. Maybe your suggestion is good. In the coming years, we may link that to that part. But at present, sir, and unless until it comes at the national level, central level, because you know, thanks to our 15th FC guidelines and Amrit, it was mandatory, right, for circle rate and automatic increase as per GSDP. And that was the reason it was easy to get the reforms done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your.
How can ULB target 100% demand coverage? See, 100% coverage at present, we are in a process, as I've just mentioned, we are in a process to integrate with other services, right? Majority, we are trying to get the GIS mapping done, which is also a requirement of the Amrit in the coming years. Second, link to the utility like electricity, etc. Once it will be done, right? So logically, our 100% coverage will be achieved. But of course, at present, there are some gaps are there. Plus, about slums up to 350 square feet, people are exempted from paying off property tax. In geotagging the property, Gurang, which method is being used? See, in geotagging, what we know is basically, as per the POS machine, the self-assessment form which is being filled by the citizen is cross-checked. The longitude, latitude, the picture of the property, right? So that type of method we are using in the POS machine, the tax collector fills it, and in that way the information gets updated. Vardhan, can I know the name also of the anonymous attendee who is there? Because maximum questions are coming from that person. If I know the state and the city, it will be good. And we can even answer them individually. We don't mind in that.
We'll request everybody who's asking questions anonymously to please introduce themselves.
Yeah.
If needed, we can also promote you to panelists so you can have an interaction with the team.
Yeah.
Maybe in the interest of time, Pankaj, we can quickly answer these questions meantime.
Okay. What was the impact of self-assessment based method on the tax collection in terms of data collection? See, I've already mentioned that due to this self-assessment made, it's not only a self-assessment, it's also a verification process. So our collection and assessment has increased. Now, how the city has received the GST compensation, that is a state decision, so I won't comment it here. The exact mechanism is very easy to shift from ARB to capital value. First of all, the best practices were studied, like Maharashtra, Rajasthan were already having it. Then we made a lot of presentation, lot of calculations were done. What shall be the right taxation rate? And based on that taxation rate, we decided that this will be the optimum tax rate so that there shouldn't be a huge burden on the citizens. Then rules were framed, amendment in the act was done, proper training was given to the citizens. Our PTMS was updated with the circle rate and the new formula. And in that way, and the awareness campaigns were done. So that was basically the mechanism which we use it. It was almost a 2-year process because if you know it, the 15th FC guideline came in the year October 21. October 20, I should say. Yeah, October 20. So in that way, for 2 years, it took us to migrate from ARB to CV. Alok sir, accounting software at present tally, but at present profit tax system से integrate नहीं है, but जो हमारा the system integrator which is in place, right? They have the scope of work of the creating a financial management system, which is also in the उपयोग also. So next 3 months का वो target है. So from maybe the coming years, the financial management module will also be integrated. Upright, if any question is there.
Thanks. Yeah.
Do we have any further questions from any of the panelists or attendees? I think that is it. Thank you so much, Amit sir. There is a question. There's one more question.
Let me check it.
Third method also.
Is there any other method than ARB? Mr. Ramakrishnan Sharma sir, I think state of Jharkhand, and I've been lucky enough, has witnessed generally the prominent method of property tax, composite tax, which is being experienced in Tamil Nadu, Telangana. We have migrated to ARB. We have done to capital value. Of course, in capital value, there is a variation like a guidance value is there, right? Where the power has been given to the municipalities, like Maharashtra in different municipalities, the power of circle rate or the guidance value is given to municipalities. But in our state, the best part is a transparent system. It is at the land revenue department. So everyone knows the rate. So the flexibility has not been given. Even the tax rate are being fixed at the state level. It is not at the corporation, council, panchayat level. Sir, capital value provides a level playing field in 3 or 4 points, I will say. 1, circle rate for all the cities are different depending upon the wards. So in Ranchi, Ward 1 has a different circle rate and the Ward 2 has different circle rate. Second, if in the Ward 1 itself, if the household is pakka or kacha, the circle rates are different. If the household is on the main road or the other road, main road means more than 40 feet width or the less than 40 feet. So there is a different rate. So level playing field is certainly there because based on the location, based on the roads, based on the construction factor, based on the usage, based on the occupancy, self-occupied tenancy, there are different rates.
There's one more last
Yeah.
question.
See, frankly speaking, initially there were some resistance, but as I just mentioned, a lot of effort was done in the initial 2 years. Awareness, IC campaign was done, and that was the reason rebates were offered, relief was given up to 350 square feet. So yes, there was some resistance was there, but it took some time, and which is a very normal process in any of the new reform which has been introduced. How you impose a property, a clear land title is not there. So if electricity will no? If any clear land title is not there, it means a person doesn't have the proper documents. Then in that case, we do the superstructure. And superstructure means if person has an electricity bill, right? Then based on electricity bill, the property can be assessed. But please remember, we write in our self-assessment form that holding ID does not give any ownership right. It's only the ID which helps you to give the payment of property tax.
That is it. If you have any further questions, this is to the attendees. Please reach out to us, the NUDM NIUA team, or to the state of Jharkhand, and we'll help you make a connection and make a visit if needed. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the state of Jharkhand to be one of the first states to join us in the year 2024 for this sharing of best practices. One other thing which I missed appreciating while we were doing it just the Q&A was that while states are mostly struggling with digitalizing their journeys, Jharkhand has become inclusive. They are talking about people with disabilities. They are talking about people from all other walks of life that are usually left out when we try to standardize or process for the larger. So being anchored in NIUA, we have a specific vertical that talks about inclusivity, and this is sincerely appreciated from the entire team of NIUA, not just NUDM. With that, any other questions may be directed to us. Thank you so much, Pankaj-ji. Thank you so much, Amit sir. And we look forward to working with you and showcasing more work that the state of Jharkhand has done.
Pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.